So a really important update related to Dogecoin and Elon Musk came out recently, which could be really bullish for Dogecoin in 2022. And this is what we'll talk about in this video. So we know that recently, the Dogecoin Foundation proposed a new roadmap for Doge. And what a lot of people missed was a proposed project in it related to Elon Musk and Starlink. So because of this project, we could see the Dogecoin blockchain partner with Elon Musk's Starlink, and this will enable Dogecoin transactions in remote locations. So according to research from earlier this year by Arthur Gervais, a lecturer at the Imperial College London, Starlink has the potential to help Dogecoin miners scale the transaction throughput of the network by several orders of magnitudes. In his research, he wrote that Dogecoin could very well scale its transaction throughput by orders of magnitude if its miners were to engage in a dedicated Starlink relay network. Using Starlink as a network to propagate blockchain peer-to-peer data among miners would equally help speed up substantially the current blockchain throughput without deteriorating its security. Basically, with the help of Elon Musk's Starlink, Dogecoin will be able to scale up its transactions significantly. And this is exactly what Elon Musk wants. We've heard him talk about how Dogecoin is the best crypto out there because of its low transaction fee. And so, with the help of Starlink, it's pretty much inevitable that he's going to make Dogecoin the #1 crypto to make payments in 2022. And this is something I'm really excited about. Now, before I talk a bit more about it, let's look at Ethereum since, being the top altcoin, it has a massive impact on Dogecoin's price too. So, Vitalik Buterin has released an official suggestion of a new fee structure for the Ethereum network called Multidimensional EIP 1559. In a nutshell, different amounts of gas will be used for different operations on the network. The new fee concept will create a fair structure in which gas will be used more optimally, allowing users to spend less on various types of operations like minting, transactions called data, etc. And this is exactly what Ethereum needs right now. It has been losing its market share in the DeFi sector, but something like this is going to help it gain it back. Now, there are a lot of people who are concerned about Ether's trajectory. So Ether has seen a sharp fall in its market value by 33% since it reached its all-time highs on 10th November. But still, I think the bears are totally missing out on some positives. So the NVRV for Ethereum looks really bullish right now. If you don't know, NVRV is a ratio of an asset's market cap versus its realized cap. By comparing these two metrics, NVRV can be used to get a sense of when the price is above or below the fair value. Also, according to ETH's average NVRV, this is the most pain traders have felt since July, and the last time happened, the price had jumped 118% from that pain point. Another indicator called the active Ethereum addresses versus ETH asset price also looks positive. This basically indicates that more market participants are active in the downturn market and presumably buying the dip. Another thing we need to look at is how Ethereum is really oversold at the moment. So the RSI for Ethereum is currently staying at a value below 30. The last time it was below 30 was in March 2020, and right after that, the RSI quickly recovered back to values above 50. So this might suggest that the majority of the market is selling too much and short-term bullish movements might happen again quite soon. But still, another important thing we need to look at is Ethereum's 200-day moving average. So it has just dropped below both the 200-day exponential and simple moving averages, and this is usually considered a long-term bearish signal. Now, let's talk about the market crash for a minute. So we know that the entire crypto market plummeted on Wednesday. Bitcoin fell by around 11% too, and because of that, El Salvador's current crypto portfolio remains at approximately a 15% loss. A lot of traders lost a lot of money, and this is why I want to remind you that crypto trading is a long game and every trader needs to be mindful of that. Also, some people are forgetting that other financial commodities suffered too. So in response to the Fed statements about interest rate hikes, tech stocks, gold, and the Nasdaq declined too. If you don't know, Nasdaq shed around 3% overnight, marking its biggest one-day percentage drop since February. Now, personally, I'm quite bullish in the long term because inflation has still been rising steadily. And the senior commodity strategist for Bloomberg Intelligence said that Bitcoin could definitely come on top in the current situation. He said that Stretched markets have become common, but commodities and Bitcoin appear to be early reversion leaders. It's a question of bull market duration, and we see the benchmark crypto coming out ahead. Now, another important thing we need to keep in mind is the whale activity. So the third largest Bitcoin whale just bought the dip, putting his stack at over 121,000 Bitcoins. So this is how it went down. On January 4th, he added 372 Bitcoins. On January 3rd, he bought around 450. And after the dip on 6th January, he bought another 150 or so Bitcoins. Now, this is important because we've seen that institutional investors and whales have had a huge impact on Bitcoin's price in 2021. And this report from Glassnode says the same thing. But before I talk about that, I want to remind you that we're talking about Bitcoin because of how heavily it influences Dogecoin's price. Its correlation with Bitcoin's price has risen to 0.82, which is simply outrageous. Now, let's come back to the report from Glassnode. So, according to the latest edition of Glassnode's The Week on Chain report, Bitcoin might be on the verge of a bull run. The first thing it talks about is the daily activity, which has been on an increase as active on-chain entities have broken above the 275,000 per day level. Also, the number of new wallets with a non-zero balance has been increasing. Over the past year, it has grown 23.2% as 1.415 million non-zero Bitcoin wallet addresses were added. This just indicates that the user base of Bitcoin has increased over time. And if we talk about the supply dynamics in the market, they point to the fact that the market is being dominated by smart money institutional investors and patient long-term holders. The report notes that the fact that long-term holders dominate the market is impressive and highly bullish for Bitcoin price in 2022. And this is exactly why any bullish news from top institutions and whales is worth talking about. But still, this report also talks about something important that we need to keep in mind. It basically said that until the on-chain activity can show increased Blockspace demand, Bitcoin's price is expected to continue trading sideways. If you don't know, this Blockspace demand is going to rise when more people will use the Bitcoin network for transactions. And I think it's going to happen this year because of all the announcements that we heard about in 2021. The first one came from AMC. And the second came from Elon Musk, who said that Tesla will accept Bitcoin again when and if mining is done with clean energy. And we know that more and more miners are using clean energy for mining, so this is something to be optimistic about. And then there were other announcements from giants like Tim Cook, who said that they personally own crypto. The point is that when these companies start accepting Bitcoin for transactions, and most likely they will in 2022, its price will skyrocket because its Blockspace demand will also increase. And this is great for altcoins like Doge because being the market leader, Bitcoin has the power to affect their price too. And then there's the price correlation that we just talked about. Now, let's talk about some bad news from the crypto market today. So the SEC has delayed the ruling on NYDIG's proposal for a spot Bitcoin ETF by 60 days. The original deadline was January 15th. And this is a big deal because, if allowed, NYDIG's Bitcoin ETF will be the first ever spot Bitcoin ETF in the country. And it is to bring in a lot of funds into Bitcoin from institutions. Now talking about ETF, some shocking new data came out today. So BITO, which is the first US-approved ETF that replicates the price of Bitcoin, has not performed that well. It debuted on the markets around mid-October 2021 at a price of around $41, but has now fallen below $30 at a loss of 27%. Now, in the same period, the price of Bitcoin has fallen from $63K to $47K at a loss of 25%. In other words, the price of BITO has lost more than the price of Bitcoin since its launch. Now we need to keep in mind that BITO is a futures-based Bitcoin ETF, and things like these could discourage institutions from investing in them. Now, on the other hand, the Canadian spot BTC ETF launched on the Toronto Exchange has performed much better than BITO. Over the same period, its price fell from $11.6 to $8.9, which is a loss of less than 24%. So considering everything, we need the SEC to accept the first spot Bitcoin ETF as soon as possible. Now coming back to some more bad news, the authorities in Thailand have decided to implement a taxation structure on all crypto gains, levying 15% capital gains on all crypto profits. This is pretty bad because this would definitely discourage people from investing in cryptos in Thailand. And another thing that could lead to another dip is that according to a report, a subcommittee of the HSEC is planning a hearing on Bitcoin mining's impact on the environment. This could be bad because, in this report, they could overplay or exaggerate Bitcoin mining's harmful impact on the environment, which would then discourage people to invest in cryptos. I say they could exaggerate it because some big companies are doing exactly that. So Mozilla recently told its Twitter followers that it had started accepting donations in Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum in partnership with BitPay. But then later, its co-founder said that Mozilla is ashamed of supporting cryptos since they're bad for the environment, and that it had paused cryptocurrency donations on Thursday. Now, ironically, Mozilla had been accepting crypto donations for years. It had partnered with the Coinbase exchange in 2014 to start receiving contributions in Bitcoin. And to call out Mozilla on its hypocrisy, Dogecoin co-founder called him out on Twitter. He said that, "Wait till these guys hear about the environmental cost of paper dollars and the entire banking infrastructure. I am sure they will have the same level of meltdown about their own constant environmental impact." The point is that the big players need to understand that crypto mining isn't as bad as everyone is making out to be. Now, let's come back to Dogecoin. It's currently trading around $16, but it's back in the green again. Still, we can't ignore the market crash from Wednesday. I think it's going to take Dogecoin and other cryptos a while to recover. But in the long term, I'm bullish because of how Elon Musk has so much planned for Dogecoin in 2022. In any case, let me know where you think we're headed from here in the comments section below.